VP on that is to say, we're going to come to you in 90 days, and we're going to give you an external evaluation on whether or not you can respond to a crisis. Be ready. You show up, and you hand them the scenario, and you make them demonstrate a capability, and you hold them to a standard. If they pass, good on. If they flunk it, they get a warning. And you say, we're coming back in a month. And if you don't pass then, we're going to fine you. You come back again in a month, and you give them a month to get their procedure squared away. You come back in a month, and if they flunk it again, they're fined, and you tell them we're coming back in 2 weeks. And if you flunk it again, you're shut down. Because the American people deserve better. So I think the way you approach regulation is you look at capabilities rather than process. So I need to mention that because some would say, well, we should shut down all drilling. I don't think that's the answer. And incidentally, you know, we've got 11 other countries that are drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. So saying we're going to stop drilling is not the answer. But I also think we should hold them responsible. We should hold them responsible for what they did wrong already, and then we should make them develop capabilities so that they can have a secure way to drill. So that's number one. Number two is we clearly need a more diversified energy policy, and I think we can do it. I absolutely think we can do it. I've been studying this extensively, and I will tell you that we actually use hydro here in upstate New York, and it's working well. We can get more. We can get more from hydro right here in upstate New York, and we should. Nuclear. Now, this is something when I first dived into it, after retiring at the end of February, that I was wary about. You know, because I was, in 9th grade when we went in Miss Marlin's class on 3 miles to Sarah Garland after we graduated together, 1982, Black Frank. And I don't know how old 9th grade was. I was 15 maybe, 14, when 3 Mile Island occurred. So that got my attention. But from everything that I can tell from what I have learned over the last 4.5 months, we have made tremendous progress in the field of nuclear energy. And there is tremendous promise in international cooperation for reprocessing. Reprocessing where potentially up to 95% of waste can get turned back in to be useful. Now, the promise of that is huge. It's huge. And so when I started pushing on that point, I said, what does this mean now? You know, do we have to now figure out what communities? Here's what I've learned, is that in many cases, I don't have the exact percentage, but in over half, we can actually co-locate, you know, more nuclear right on the site it is right now, and we can get it onto the grid. So that's a good thing, because most of the communities right now that have nuclear have come to peace with it, because they see the economic value. So now there are 2 remaining issues for nuclear. One is, what are we going to do with the waste? And the second is, how are we going to transport it when we get there? Now I think the transport thing we can do. We look at France and you see the way that they do it. I think we can find a safe way to transport it. Does that mean it's going to go to 0? In terms of probabilities for, no. But we live in a risky world. So the question is it reasonable risk? I think we can get it to very negligible and reasonable risk. So that leaves us with how we then going to store it. Now, from what I've read, I think the Yucca Mountain proposal is a good one. And that one was moving forward, and now it has been stymied. I think we should open that and have that back on the table. That's an issue that's going to have to be resolved at the federal level. The administration has decided to stop that possibility right now. It's an unresolved issue and one that we have to focus. And I think that should also be a bipartisan approach. We don't want to end up, and this was Senator Byrd who said this, you know, we didn't develop the reconciliation process to ram controversial stuff down the American people's throats. That's what just happened with the health care. That was Senator Byrd who said that. We shouldn't do that. We're better than that. We can figure out a way to come together and figure this out. I think nuclear energy has tremendous promise. The wind and sun, where it's profitable. Where it's profitable. What we don't want to end up is like with ethanol, where we ended up propping up a course of action that really we're paying for now, and many folks are finding that are really ruining their engines. carburetors because of that type of reinforcement of gasoline. So